Hello, and welcome to my channel. This is Elise here of Plan with Elise. Today we are looking at my completed reading journal for 2023 and talking about the books that I read. I read a total of 106 books, which broke last year's record of 103. It's a lot of books. So this is a Happy Plans and Notes, which has a lot of my own trackers and printables. In it, I will link to everything I'm using, but I'll also link a setup video showing my 2024 reading journal that I am using, and you can check it out. So first up, we have my year in pixels. This is kind of a December recap and 2023 all in one because I did monthly reviews and recaps for every month except for December. So this shows how much I read each day. There's a lot of yellow in here, which is no reading. There's not as much pink. That's probably the lowest. Pink is under 30 minutes. Typically, when I sit down to read, I kind of dedicate a lot of time to it. So the green and the purple are 30 minutes to an hour and more than 1 hour. There's a lot of purple in here. I feel like there's probably more purple than green. So I did a lot of like longer chunks of reading. And then we have my yearly overview pages where I write down when I started something, sometimes when I finished it, or if it was a one day. June was very much a non-reading month. I moved in June and I bought my house, so I really didn't have much time to read. But I like kind of seeing this as an overview. And then we have my monthly reading. So January was 12 books. That was a lot. February was also 12. Had some big reading months, which made up for the smaller ones. 5 in March. Some months I use these, some months I don't. Kind of just goes with the mood. 9 in April. 4 in May. 1 in June. Didn't even use that. 6 in July. Didn't use that. I read a lot in August. August I spent most of my weekend time at the pool. So 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18 books, which is crazy, but definitely my highest reading month. And then September, I had 11, also pretty high. I have 7 in October, 7 in November, and December, I really messed up the printing of these, so we just put them all over the place because there wasn't any other room, but 4, 8, and 12 in December. These should have all been a lot smaller. So I had some big reading months this year. Then we have some trackers here. So I didn't fully finish a book bingo. I kind of stopped with the heavy duty tracking and went more into just what I wanted to read kind of, but we'll see how I do this year. Now, I do have a couple of 100 book trackers, and these are all finished, but I read more than 100 books. So I sort of want to do another page like this, which includes all the books I read, but I don't know that I'm really going to print out all these covers again and do this because I did read 106 books. Realistically, I probably could put the other 3 up top and change that to 106. That might be something I do. I also have some trackers. I've been working with Reese's Book Club over on Instagram and their website, and you can get these trackers for free by signing up for their newsletter. And these are just some other example ones, reading 25 books and reading 50. Then I have my reading 100 book bookshelf, which it looks like I never finished filling in. I've been so deep into my 2024 planners that I kind of forgot to get all of my 2023 ones updated. I also had an audiobook tracker. So let's talk about audiobooks for a second. I often get asked the question, do audiobooks count towards reading? And if it counts for you, then it counts. I only did 2 audiobooks this year. I don't have a lot of time in my day to listen to an audiobook, so I can't listen while I'm working because I either can't focus on work or I can't focus on the audiobook. And most of my non-working time is spent filming videos, reading a physical book or on my Kindle. And so I'm not that much of an audiobook person. I did do the John Stamos audiobook, and I'm glad my mom died. I think those are the only 2. Typically, if I can do an audiobook, it's a memoir, but those may have been the only two. Now, of course, I'm going to say that audiobooks do count as books because not everyone can read with their eyes, right? Not everyone has the dexterity to be able to hold a book or a Kindle. Not everyone has the ability to read words in terms of with their eyes. So if someone chooses to count audiobooks towards their goal, I absolutely am all about it. For me personally, if I was an audiobook person, I would probably track my audiobooks and these books separately because when I look at this, aside from two of these, I know that these were books that I dedicated specific time to because I can't multitask while I'm reading, right? Like I could get a pedicure maybe while I'm reading, but I can't multitask. And so I know that I like prioritize personally, this is all really personal. I was able to prioritize the time outside of my other responsibilities to read these books. It doesn't mean that someone is not prioritizing the time if they're doing an audiobook. This is just me and my reading. So that's my little spiel there. Okay, let's flip over. We had my 100 books that I didn't finish. I have an audiobook tracker that I didn't fill in. And we have A to Z challenge. I did not do U or Z. And I have another reading on 100 books. But again, I read more than that. And I started to list out what book bingos I read. And then we have my overview. So highest month, August. I had 12 book months. And I had one book month. Overall, though, we have 7, 5, 4, 7, 12. It averaged out pretty well. Okay, now we have my books that I read. So these are from my Etsy shop. I have already reviewed all of these books here on YouTube, but actually I just started another book by this author, Julie Clark, because I really loved this book. But I read a lot of wonderful books this year. I read some books that I didn't love, but I really read a lot that I did. So I'm going to continue. This goes all the way through to the 106th book, but I haven't quite reviewed these, so I want to do that. My first December book was What's Left of Me by Kristen Granada, and I did enjoy this book. I'd give it, that was really sloppy. Let's switch this. I'd give this a solid, we may do halves this year, even though this is 2023, but I may start to bring in halves. I'd give it 3.5 stars. It's like a typical romance domestic type of book. And then My Daughter's Husband by Daniel Hurst. I read a lot of Daniel Hurst in December. This is a sequel to My Daughter's Boyfriend by Daniel Hurst that I also read. This is getting a 4. 4 is a great book. 4 is a book that I recommend. I just reserve, or from now on, I'm reserving 5 to books that were absolutely unbelievable that I can't imagine living without. Then I read, I'm going to skip for a second and talk about Influence, Influencer, and Influenced. These are 3 books by Daniel Hurst in a series, and they were so good. Between the 5th and the 7th, I read all 3. Doctor's Mistress, this is a little bit out of order because that was another Daniel Hurst book that's also part of a series that I was really hoping to read, but I couldn't put down the influencer books, so I ended up reading that after I finished the influencer series. But these are basically about a girl who gets offered this opportunity to get 1 million followers. She just has to kill someone. And kind of like whatever happens next. And it's really, really good. So if you like a thriller and you like kind of I'm coloring these in so sloppy. I don't know what's going on today. If you like a thriller and you like a little bit of a joke on influencing, I think that these are great books. The Doctor's Mistress is also a great one. This is the 3rd. Yes. The 3rd. The Doctor's, hang on. Sometimes I forget, especially when these are all like parts of a series. I'm trying to, The Doctor's Widow, The Doctor's Wife, and my phone stopped recording, but I think I caught it. I think I was looking at it at the exact moment it stopped. I love Daniel Hurst. I do have a Daniel Hurst book tracker in my Etsy shop of all the books he's written as a printable. Before We Were Innocent was the book club pick for December from Reese's Book Club, and this is a sort of two time period switch. It's a mystery, and it's about these girls that go on a trip after high school, and one of them dies, and then things are sort of coming back 20 years later around the anniversary. So it was really interesting. When I Was You by Minka Ken, there's a lot of thrillers happening this month or in December, I've read a couple of Minka Ken books, and I'm going to give this a 3 because it was good, but there did become a point that I had trouble following it. When I Was You is a book about a woman who wakes up, and I'm trying to figure out how to describe this without giving it away. It's a case of sort of mistaken identity, but internally, whether she is a specific person or someone's trying to convince her she's a specific person. It's a little bit also like personifying someone else, I guess might be a way to explain it. Her Husband's Mistake is another Daniel Hurst book. Her family has to pay the price for. Again, I like Daniel Hurst books. I think that they're usually pretty quick reads, typically between like 2 something and, well, this one's 51. That's more of a novella, but they're good, easy thrillers. The Influencer series is probably my favorite, so this is going to get a 3. On Christmas Eve, I read The Gift by Frida McFadden. Frida McFadden is one of my favorite thriller authors. I've, at this point, probably read everything she's written, but it was recommended to read The Gift, which is a short little Christmas Eve thriller or Christmas thriller. Okay, we have Break Him. Break Him is a book by Nikki Grace. I saw it recommended in a Facebook group I'm in for people who like thrillers, and I'm gonna go low here. This is gonna get a 2. 1 is reserved for something I couldn't finish. 2 is a book that I read but I wouldn't recommend. It's about a woman who is plotting to murder her husband because he's plotting to leave her. There were grammatical errors. The storyline was meh. The storyline had the potential to be really good, but the way to get to I don't know, I just didn't like the book. So, The New Year's Party by Daniel Hurst is also a short one. This is a thriller, and I started reading it on New Year's because I felt like that was a great time to read a little thriller, so I'll give it a 4. And then I don't think I numbered this, but my 5th and final book of the year was probably my best book of the year, and this is called What Lies Between Us by John Mars. And this is about a woman, a grown woman, and her grown daughter, an older woman and her grown daughter, and the secrets that have lied between them and the trouble that they have caused. I feel like is all I can get into before I give anything away, because things go whoa by the end of the 2nd chapter, I believe. So best book I read this year. I'd highly recommend it. And that is my 106 books for the year, depending on what you qualify as a book. There were 2 novellas, so maybe we cut off those 2. And if you take the audiobooks out, then it's still 102 longer form books, meaning over, a couple hundred pages. But I really read a lot of great books, mostly thriller. We've got some memoirs in here, so there's a decent amount of variety. We have some self-improvement books, another memoir. Best memoir I read, Birdie and Harlow by Taylor Wolfe, The Daily Tay on Instagram. Oh, I did read another Frida McFadden book. A lot of great books this summer. I was seeing the word summer. A lot of wonderful books this year, and maybe I'll do some sort of recap of my favorites. I didn't really prepare it for this video, but it was a good year of reading. I'm really proud of it, and I'm really excited about the books that I am reading in 2024. So that is a wrap. I'll link things that I mentioned in the description of the video. I hope you enjoyed. And follow me on Instagram for book recommendations, because I am sharing a review of each book as I read it. And then I will still do monthly recap videos starting in February with January's books read. So I think that's all. Thanks so much for watching. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel, please do hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.